What's happened? What is this place? Maybe I'm dead. I can't see any light. Maybe I am dead. I can't get up. What's going on? What's happening to me? There's no one here, but these noises. God, my head is killing me. I can't keep my eyes open. This place. My memory of those years is hazy. Between the age of about 7 and 10, my memories are disconnected, and I couldn't say how many times and how frequently the light used to come. My mother gave me a doll around that time. Charlotte. Thinking back to it makes me want to laugh. But at the beginning, I remembered that I was afraid of her. I thought she wanted to harm me, to kill me and take my place. But when the light came, she would stay beside me, and her presence did not disturb me. I was able to talk to her, and so she became my best friend. At least until I was in grade 2, when everything changed. She didn't laugh at me, and if I had to say something to my mother, I asked her to say it. When things inside me turned bad, she was the only one I could turn to. Now all of this makes me blush, but Charlotte was a real friend to me. I knew that she was just a doll. I wasn't stupid, but at the same time, she was real, too. I don't know how to explain it. It's difficult. My mother would cuddle her and tell her things. I guess she was trying to communicate with me, but back then I was too afraid to understand it. The only thing I remember clearly is Charlotte, my doll. Nobody says we can't. Let's find Charlotte. Let's find Charlotte. She's alone. She's alone in the dark. Let's search the wards on the upper floor. There's a plan on the wall which shows their location. Mummy took good care of Charlotte. She tucked her in, hugged her, gave her cuddles and kisses. She was very affectionate and loving. Nothing bad happened to Charlotte, and that surprised me. I didn't understand. At first, I was quite scared. I was afraid that she wanted to hurt me. I lived in constant fear that Mom would abandon her. Because I didn't deserve to live. I didn't deserve to be loved. It's cold and it's dark. Look, she's cold. She'll get ill. We can take care of her. Nobody can stop us. Charlotte is a good girl. Charlotte is cold. Let's take her somewhere warm. Those lamps could make the room warmer, but Charlotte's not happy. She doesn't feel well. He doesn't want to. Not Charlotte. He'll get angry. I know he'll get angry. He doesn't want to. No. I saw a wheelchair in the town ground floor. He doesn't want to. It's comfortable there, and Charlotte will be comfy here. But it's cold. No, it's cold. Don't shiver, Charlotte. The cold will go away. It'll go away. The cold has gone away now, you see? The light, the warmth. We can do it. The cold will go away. It has to. Now we can enter the ward where everything started. It all began in the observation ward on the ground floor. One day I turned off the light, but it didn't go dark. It was a limitless immensity, a blinding, merciless light. I was 16 years old, and I was afraid, always afraid, a fear that wore me down. I needed help, but I couldn't speak. I was terrified of everything, even thinking. They said they were taking me to a place where the fear would go away, where I would get better. I stopped living in there. They dragged me away and stripped off all my clothes, everything. I tried to explain what was going on in my head. They tied me to the bed for days. I was alone with my nightmares. It wasn't fear anymore. It was madness. And when you're mad, you cease to exist. She was my only hope in this hell. I was descending down, down among the damned. But that woman and her smile kept me alive. The door is locked from the outside. Here the doors can only be locked and unlocked from the outside. He laughed, panted, and slobbered all over me. It hurt me when he touched me. I thought I'd suddenly split open with a loud crack, and I would be shattered into pieces. I felt fragile, sick, dirty, degraded. All I could do was clutch Charlotte tightly while Renee obeyed. He was the master in the realm of light. I was being consumed by the evil act I had committed. I threw up and could feel hell getting closer and closer. Those tests the doctors did to me. They said there was something growing inside, and they wanted to drag it out of me. She stayed with Renee during those terrible medical examinations, and that gave her the strength to survive. They went to the gynecology ward on the upper floor. August 21st, 1938. Confidential. Dear A, I know what you think about these things, so I'm referring a patient to you, Renee T. This wretched girl got out of control and caused trouble in the grounds. She's almost 3 months pregnant. The nurses should be more alert. I'm examining the girl on the 28th. I'll handle things very carefully, don't worry. We don't want to make matters worse. Then they said that Renee was crazy, and that the illness was all in her head. Careful, little girl, careful. I was scared, and I didn't talk to anyone about the illness. Only her. Not even the other doctor. He never touched Renee. He just wrote things down. You can tell me everything. Don't be afraid, he said. Everything's going to be fine. Do you want to know what I am writing? I note down what I observe in you, everything I see. He didn't hate Renee. He tried to help her, but he rarely examined her in those small surgeries. The doctor who wrote things down was in Surgery C. March 12th, 1938. Renee T., 16 years old. Menstruation at age 12. Housewife. Father unknown. Mother a seamstress. Admitted in observation yesterday morning from Pontedera, accompanied by a police officer authorized by the examining magistrate of the Court of Pisa to be admitted for a psychiatric evaluation, which I have carried out. Medical certificate. Mental illness preceded by warning signs. Has suffered from depression for a year, believing she had tuberculosis. Food deprivation. We can't read this document. It is forbidden. We mustn't. If they find out, there will be trouble. Have you ever wondered who you are? Yes, of course you've wondered. Since I got lost in the light, I don't even know who I am anymore. Let's read it and try to understand. She is frightened, hears noises and ghosts, presents serious signs of anxiety psychosis, suffers from hallucinations. She is anxious, confused, her expression is distressed, a questioning look as if terrified, disoriented. She feels confused, hears voices shouting in her head. She doesn't understand things properly. She has been feeling unwell for 2 or 3 months. When questioned, she replies, "My mother wants to hurt me. I am always scared of her. She chases me." "Why are you here?" I argued with my mother and was so upset that I felt like my head was spinning. There was a woman there who wanted to force me into a life of prostitution. They wanted to condemn me to be burned at the stake. Children whispered, called my name. March 16th. She couldn't sleep last night. They wanted to condemn her to be burned at the stake. April 4th. Transferred to the calm ward, still under my supervision. Yes, that's true. The ward where Amara was. Yes, the stake. The children wanted to burn Renee. She had to pay for what she'd done, like witches at the stake. April 21st. She's more awake this morning and is responding to questions, complains of headaches. She became agitated when she found out her mother was there. She says that one day, many years earlier, she was with a friend of hers and met a man who made her get into a car and took her for a ride. He made her smoke cigarettes and drink liquor, and the man showed her certain things. He tried to hurt her and made her go crazy. She says he promised to marry her and made her swear to keep what had happened a secret. These facts were essentially confirmed by her mother. After that, she became arrogant, impatient, and hostile towards her family, especially her mother. She started taking off her clothes in public. Her moods would swing from laughter to tears. She rants. She pleasures herself. I can't remember these things, only the guilt, the stake. I know I deserved to pay for that guilt. I knew it even then. She was uncooperative during the examination. She didn't want to be stripped, and her body remained rigid. Voluntary attention almost totally absent. Probable hallucinations. April 25th. Confused ideas, unable to maintain a spontaneous conversation. Reflexes all normal. Reactive pupils. Let's find Amara, and we'll find the full medical records. The grounds at the back of the hospital, and then down to the kitchens. This is the road we used to take. If it weren't for her, in the grounds on that bench in spring, so many days. It was an escape, watching nature around us as she talked and smiled. And then there were the kitchens. Sometimes we stole food and ran back to the bench to eat it in secret, and we laughed. She did things to me. Sometimes she touched me. In the shower, I felt her body against mine for the first time. It was a shiver that warmed my soul. Eyes closed, the light slipped away. Nature helped me to forget, to escape from the system. That's it. She must be the key to my memories, to the reasons why. He told me about Bruna's father and brother, but I was already very ill. The light had returned, and that thing made me suffer even more. It was my world, and it was crumbling. When I spoke to Bruna about it, she turned her head away and was silent for a long time. Prince Charming doesn't exist, Renee. At least not for us. I was 14 years old. I didn't think it was possible for a boy to look at me and desire me. When he asked me if I wanted to go for a walk, I didn't say anything. I didn't even have the courage to look at him. Things improved for a number of years. Then, suddenly, everything came crashing down. One evening I came home drunk, and the following morning a terrible crisis overcame me, all of a sudden. What had I done? I was terrified. I thought I'd lost my sight. The light burned my eyes from inside. The memories of the previous day emerged in bursts, images, flashes, which unleashed something monstrous inside me. Repetition of words was no longer sufficient. Now there was a voice in my head which repeated them louder than I did, and they were words of accusation and blame. So I covered my ears and shouted and hit my head against the wall and threw up. I remember the doctor, the wall filthy with blood and vomit. My mother wasn't looking at me. Bruna was crying, but trying to hide it. Charlotte was beside me. I never told anyone what had happened. He came to visit me, but I refused to see him. I became agitated. I think he liked me, even though things turned out badly. In that period, I began to suffer from memory loss. The few things I learned didn't please me at all. He told me that I was looking for him. It was all my fault. Bruna told me that sometimes I got drunk. People in the village gossiped about me. Sometimes I was covered in black and blue marks. I didn't realize what was happening to me, what I was doing. I was no longer in control of my life. From my little corner. Come on, let's look everywhere. She must be here, I'm certain. I no longer considered my body as something disgusting and ill, Far from it. I began to look at myself, to caress myself, and smell my own skin. I began to explore and experiment, finding physical pleasure. My ideas were not very clear, and I never spoke to anyone about these things. Bruna, however, spoke about them. She boasted about her love stories and her young men. To my eyes, she was very lucky, always being wooed. By marvelous, generous, and kind boys. Thus, I fantasized about her adventures, pretending that I was the main protagonist. But how could I ever be like her? Occasionally I recall that she had black and blue marks on her body, but I was so naive that I did not understand. I did not put two and two together. It was Don Gino who explained things to me a few years later. Keep looking. We mustn't give up. We can't go down there. There's too much water. Adele, that little girl has been standing motionless in front of the kitchen door for hours. Poor thing, I gave her some candy. She ate it without a word and remained motionless. I don't think she's very well. We used to see her now and again, but now she's always there. I'm going. The doctor's not here. He's coming this afternoon. Try and speak to him. Poor thing. Lost in her dreams. She was only a little girl. But nobody gave her a cuddle. They punished her instead. They said she was sick and her dreams were troubling her. They weren't even hers anymore. I need her, but we will find her. We'll find her, won't we? When the water in the shower was cold, we ran away. But when it was hot, then she came to Renee under that cruel white light. I can still feel the shivers her body gave me. Everything must return to how it was. If we recreate that magic, she'll come to us. We have to turn the water on in the showers and switch the boiler on. All the plumbing systems were in the kitchen area. have to turn the water on in the showers and switch the boiler on. All the plumbing systems were in the kitchen area. Now everything is ready. We can go to the bathrooms. We can go along that narrow corridor in the kitchens. We'll meet her in the showers, yes. Now everything is ready. We can go to the bathrooms. Not in this ward, not in observation, remember? Let's go to the calm ward. Everything's ready. Let's get undressed and leave our clothes on the hooks in the changing rooms. Let's turn the water on now, and everything will be as before. Amara was everything I could have been, but she no longer existed. I'd have loved to erase everything I did, but instead I always went ahead and did it again. It was my fault, and she disappeared from my life. They gave you injections there, which made your body and soul tremble violently. A whirlwind of anguish and unbearable pain. I lived in terror of the next time. They had taken me upstairs to that ward where no one wanted to go. I didn't tell anyone about the light. I knew that something terrible was happening to me. I thought that I would die, and the shame I felt was so deep that an uncontrollable restlessness took over me. I was afraid when other people were nearby. I saw fingers pointed at me, mouths laughing, condemning me. I tried to be alone. I would sit down on the ground and, curled up in the dark, I would repeat a word, any word, in continuation. This helped me not to think, not to lose myself. I would spend entire days like this, hoping that my mother would ignore me. Her compassionate words hurt me and terrorized me even more, and so I had to shout and shout and shout those words. After a few days, things got better, and little by little I came out of my hiding place. But the fear was always there, under the surface, ready to strike me even harder. Let's look for Renee's room in the slightly agitated ward. When there was too much chaos, they closed all the windows and the door. They turned off the lights, and it was pitch black. Some people fell asleep. Some others stopped seeing their demons and became more calm. Montefoscoli, December 20th, 1941. Dear Director, could you please let me know how my daughter, your patient Renee T., is getting along? I've written to my daughter several times, but have received no reply. I'm very worried, particularly as I've been ill for some time and have not been well enough to come and visit her. Please kindly let me know when it will be possible for me to bring my daughter home. Your humble servant, Ada T. Bring this letter to the attention of Dr. C so he can assess the potential discharge of the patient. window shutters, the door, and switch off all the lights. They put a straitjacket on you. They gave you a cold shower. They suffocated you with a sheet. They tied you to the bed. They tied me to the bed. A woman died next to me, choked by her own vomit. She was tied down because she wouldn't stop pleasuring herself. I can still hear her death rattle. I screamed, but nobody came. Everybody screamed in there, all of them. It was then I saw the doll, which wasn't Charlotte. No, she wasn't Charlotte. The past came back to hurt me again. In the loneliness of that crowded ward, he brought it with him. I thought I would never see him again. He'd come to remind me who I was. That's what my mother used to do. That's what I had done. It seems that my life in here was just a repeat of what it had been outside. The doll, the fear, the shame. I'd have loved to erase everything I did, but instead I always went ahead and did it again. Montefoscoli, November 12th, 1939. My dear daughter, it is with great sadness that I heard what happened. Your transfer and your sufferings are a cause of great worry for me. It will take time, but you'll see, things will improve. They'll treat you and you'll get better again. I pray a lot, every day. Write to me often and tell me if you need anything. I promise I'll do what I can. Try to be strong. Mom. This is the last letter she wrote to me. Once I was put into this ward, I was overwhelmed by loneliness. After that medical examination, I received no more letters from Mom. Why is that man here? Why doesn't she come to see me? Did I make a mistake? It didn't seem like she wanted to abandon me. What did I do wrong? I'd like to be able to reply to her again now, to change things. thought she would have listened to me. Will she reply? The letters were sent to the archive. It was their job to post them. When you were sent to a lunatic asylum, you lost the right to possess anything. Everything you arrived with was packed up and stored here, even the clothes you were wearing, in case you were released one day, but far too many never left. Dear Mother, please, I beg you, get me out of this place. I'm so frightened here. You were right. I know I was wrong. I understand. I'm so ashamed. If only you knew how much. But now I'll behave myself, I promise. Now things will be fine. I'll work hard. I'll be very good. Your daughter, Renee. This letter. It was Renee's letter, just as she wrote it back then. But it was never sent. Why? Why did this happen? I received your letter, Mom. You tell me to be patient and strong, while I only feel fear and pain. And you don't write to me anymore. If only these words could be my soul, I'd tell you what was happening to me. The kids want to kill me. They all look the other way and tell me what to do. I don't understand. She helps me, but what have they done to her? Can you tell me? Will you help me? Renee. Montefoscoli, July 7th, 1940. My dear daughter, I have received no news from you. You have not contacted me in months. I'm sorry, but I don't have the money to come and visit you. Do you remember Mr. Onofrio? He'll soon be in Volterra for business. I've asked him if he would be kind enough to ask the director for some news about you. I hope he'll bring me some good news when he returns. But please write to me. I know that I was strict with you. You have to forgive me. I didn't think. I've given Mr. Onofrio a new doll for you. You told me that you lost yours, and I know you loved it so much. It's not as nice as your Charlotte, but I hope that it will comfort you nonetheless. Keep your chin up, darling. Everything will be fine, you'll see. Mom. Montefoscoli, October 12th, 1940. My dear daughter, I've written 2 letters to you and have received no reply. Every day I'm anxiously waiting for a letter. Mr. Onofrio's back. He brought you the doll. Do you like it? He told me he was unable to speak to the director, but managed to see you. I pray for you every day. Even Don Gino said a prayer for you during Sunday Mass. Isn't that nice? I've made up my mind, Renee. I'm bringing you home. I've already written to the director. I told him that I'll take care of you. I'm not very well at the moment and can't work, but I'll get better soon, you'll see. And as soon as I can make the journey, I'll come and fetch you. I know you're suffering a lot, but please be strong, I beg you. Mom will come to fetch Renee, won't she? Mom is good, but she's not well. That's why that man came. The doll. Renee could have played with it while she was waiting for her to arrive, but Renee didn't have it with her. Is it one of Mom's lies? She knew that she'd hurt Renee and... No, Mommy's good. That man brought it. We've just remembered who he is, haven't we? It was Renee who was wrong. The doll's here. I know that for sure. Perhaps she's been abducted like all the others and is locked up here somewhere. Let's look for the second doll. It'll be among the bundles of the patient's belongings. Now we can open the bundle on that table in front of the window. You see? Mom was good. I was bad. Mom was worried about Renee and Charlotte. I abandoned Charlotte. We've abandoned her. Let's look for Charlotte. We have abandoned her. Will she still be where we abandoned her, under the warm lights?
I didn't do anything.
I just obeyed orders.
I only obeyed orders.
Charlotte got away. Mom will come and get us. She loves us, even though we're
orders. Leave us alone. I didn't do anything. I only obeyed orders. Mom will come and get us now. I didn't do anything. I only obeyed orders.
Even though we're bad. Mom won't leave us alone.
I didn't do anything.
Charlotte gone away.
I only obeyed orders.
Mom will come and get us now. She loves us, even though we're bad.
I didn't do anything. I only obeyed orders.
What was that doctor writing, sitting at his desk? September 7th, 1938. The patient frequently indulges in recriminations expressed in an explosive tone of voice. This morning she threw away the milk, saying it was full of urine, spittle, and all kinds of other filth. Crazed, she hears voices that order her to do things. She says she heard children singing and that they were locked up in a school. January 20th, 1939. Introverted, dazed, cannot focus on anything. When questioned and stimulated, she starts crying and weeping. At other times, she laughs. June 1st. Apathetic. Eats very little. She refuses to be touched. Does not respond. Spends her time in the grounds. The cooks report that she sits on a bench in front of the kitchens. October 14th. Return of impulsive behavior. This morning she asked for 2 eggs to make zabayoni, but when she got them, she threw them up in the air. Excited, clamorous, slightly confused, takes her clothes off. December 8th, tied to bed for 15 days. High-spirited, tends to make witty comments and use vulgar words, laughs hysterically and pleasures herself. The nurses report that about 2 weeks ago she remained in the showers on her own and didn't want to leave. They said that when they took her away, she swore at them and then lashed out and bit them. 2 nurses had to be treated for their injuries. They've kept her tied to the bed since then. Transferred to the slightly agitated ward, from the care of Dr. B to the care of Dr. C. I was with Amara in the showers. My memories are terrifying. They're not real, are they? December 15th. Dr. C. Patient notes. The abnormality of her psychic state has induced her to lead a life which is irregular and tends towards delinquency. Of fickle and flighty character, she regularly discards her household duties and engages in occasional prostitution. Prostitution? No one would have ever believed a lunatic, let alone a lunatic who lives in the worst sort of sin. Could such a person ever have been subject to sexual violence? Certainly not. Her mental deficiency makes her deaf to the reprimands of her family. She has shown suicidal tendencies. She was brought to the ward yesterday, agitated and hysterical. Treated with Cardiazol, 2 injections a week for 5 weeks. They were only trying to confuse us with the therapy, and my God, they succeeded. It was as if they wanted to instill the madness into us. June 2nd. After a long period of calm and improvement, the patient is very agitated today and vehemently refuses to submit to a gynecological examination. She swears and curses those helping her, flailing her arms and hitting them. According to reports by Dr. B, the patient has been subjected to periodic checkups since she had a spontaneous abortion about 2 years ago in her 3rd month of pregnancy. Conception occurred after she had sexual intercourse with a stranger who sneaked into the hospital grounds. Details are contained in the charges filed at police headquarters in Volterra, a copy of which is attached to these clinical notes. ES therapy. That's how the reality is concealed. It has all been planned very carefully. June 13th. The nurses report that she descended into a state of great mental confusion after receiving her mother's letter. She threw her soup over another inmate because she was very anxious, and then punched a nurse. Impulsive, flails about her. She rails against the doctor in vulgar terms while he is examining her, lashes out and spits. Block all correspondence to give the patient no further reason to become agitated. August 20th, tied to bed. The nurses report that the patient is extremely agitated after the visit of a relative or family friend. 2 days later, she is still shouting all the time that he commands her, that she must obey and harm herself, and that she is not Charlotte. All visits forbidden, constrained to bed, and intensification of ES therapy until we achieve results. No contact with the outside. That way nobody knew what was happening within these walls. calm down. You must be calm. Don't get agitated. We'll make you calm down. Is that the only thing that matters? Is tranquility worth the price of not living? March 3rd. Alert, correct attitude, replies when questioned. The nurses report that the patient is calm. She washes and looks after herself. She affirms the existence of a certain Amara. She says that Amara is a patient who disappeared when she was moved to this ward. No confirmation. Probably a regressive hallucination. Evaluate transfer. Did I imagine Amara? That's not possible. She was there. I know she was there. I feel it. She must have left some traces of her presence. We can look for her things in the storeroom containing the bundles of the patient's belongings on the upper floor. These are Amara's things, I'm certain. March 12th, 1938. The young girl Renee arrived today. Poor thing, she was terrorized. You see, she remembers the first time we met. I talked to her mother, the dear lady, and she expressed her fears to me, and I promised I'd keep an eye on her daughter. The lady told me her daughter's doll had been taken away, and this worried her, because when she becomes depressed, as she is now, Renee barricades herself in her room and can't communicate. The doll becomes her voice, eyes, and ears. Dr. B said I'll soon get out of here. I'm sorry. I'm so sad to leave Renee. I won't be able to protect her anymore. My poor friend. She was hoping to be able to get out of here, but nobody ever leaves this place. That poor girl is really ill. I am the only one she ever speaks to. I told her I was leaving, and she stared at me, saying that I would never leave. It was quite unnerving, and then she started to cry. I felt like crying too. She didn't say anything else. What worries me is that I'm sure that terrible man is watching her. He was the one who brought her here, and of all the good people, why did it have to be him? She knew. I told her everything. She knew about that man. That's why they wanted to make her disappear from my life. But I instructed a nurse friend of mine to keep an eye on her, and I'm sure she will, because she's a good woman. Her friend the nurse. I vaguely remember. She worked on this ward. Amara, there she is. She existed. She really did exist. There she is, my friend. Here we are together. How could I have imagined for a single moment that she never existed? Let's look for signs of the nurse in the nurse's room on the upper floor. She worked mostly in the Marigliano pavilion. Let's get out of here and find that pavilion. Renee was alone here. Charlotte had abandoned her. And without Charlotte, Renee couldn't communicate with the outside world. Mother knew that. She's kind to everyone, even me. I felt a little better when I saw her. The sick children laughed and played with her. Not even they could frighten me. Don't annoy Renee. She's a princess here. Didn't you know? She told stories. She said there was a war out there. But they stared at me and frightened me. They would come to look for me in the evening, and then no one would have protected me. Not even you, Charlotte. Am I right? Let's follow the hearse until we reach the graveyard. There's Charlotte, my voice, my eyes, my ears, my very soul. Let's go and play together again. My voice, to say what? Meaningless things. Be offensive to others, get into trouble. Eyes to see desperate people. In the mirror, the shadow of my former self. Worn out, they're killing me slowly, day after day. My ears to hear screams, deliriums, threats, and false promises. It'll be all right. Everything will pass. My soul, incapable of living. Of fitting into a world which it finds alien. It's moving further and further away from me, always further. Let's go and play together again. I'd like to lose my voice. I'd like to lose my eyes. I'd like to lose my hearing. I'd like to lose myself forever.
notte. Uscite dal mio castello, Madame Adoré, uscite dal mio castello. Quante belle figlie, Madame Adoré, oh, quante belle figlie. Se sono belle me le tengo, Madame Adoré, se sono belle me le tengo. Il re ne domanda una, Madame Adoré, il re ne domanda una. Che cosa ne vuol fare, Madame Adoré, che cosa ne vuol dire? Se sono belle me le tengo, Madame Adoré, se sono belle me le tengo. Il re ne domanda una, Madame Adoré, il re ne domanda una. Che cosa ne vuol fare, Madame Adoré, che cosa ne vuol fare? La vuoi amare, Madame Adoré, la vuoi amare? Con chi la ride, Madame Adoré, con chi la
What's happened? What is this place? Maybe I'm dead. I can't see any light. Maybe I am dead. I can't get up. What's going on? What's happening to me? There's no one here, but these noises. God, my head is killing me. I can't keep my eyes open. medical file again. I don't want to know. I don't want to know anymore. There's only confusion. There were some who had scarcely seen me. They thought they knew me and understood what was happening to me and could decide about my life.
Nobody laughs in here. I mean, really laughs. Not those crazy fools who laugh because people say they're mad. I don't know why they laugh out loud. They say I'm mad too, but I never feel like laughing. People used to laugh at me, but they were right, you know? You can't always cry and people laugh when they're afraid, don't they? It happened to you, not to me. It's better that way. They do that to show they're lucky. You mustn't take offense because it's true. And deep down, it's just like pity, if you see what I mean. But then you think about your own situation, and you laugh because you feel lucky that everything's going to get better, that it's all shit. It's all shit, this place. You're not trying to tell me it's not true, are you? An intelligent person, educated, not like me. And if I can see it's a load of shit, just imagine how much better you understand it. No, come on. No. I feel fine here, you know? After all, I can do and say anything I want.
August 28th, 1942. We hereby notify you of the death of Ada T., mother of Renee T., a patient in your institution. No known relative. Sincerely yours, Onofrio P. I have no one left in the world. Nobody at all.
Solitude is very strange. It muffles everything, slows it down. It's an endless scream that makes no sound. A silent scream. I can't stop looking at myself. I will never leave this place. There is nobody up there for me. These walls have become my skin, and the wretched desperation within them is my soul without a voice. Here, nobody weeps anymore. How I would love to feel life, desperation, anger. I've stopped dreaming, daydreaming, maybe even thinking. I've lived in a reality which has corroded me and has stripped me of everything, even my ability to feel pain. May 5th, 1943. Renee's state of health is good. She is eating and speaking. Her spatial and temporal orientation is good. Therapy suspended. December 3rd. She calmly asks if she can leave the hospital. Evaluate patient for 6 months. May 2nd, 1944. Discharge denied despite favorable psychiatric opinion. The patient has no home or means of support. May 4th. The reasons why discharge is impossible are explained, and this is how Renee learns of her mother's death 2 years after the fact. May 5th. She tried to kill herself in the night by hanging herself with a sheet, saved by the nurses. Restrained to her bed, she once more tried to kill herself by suffocation. The decision has been taken to perform a transorbital lobotomy.
June 1944. Operation successful. Patient tranquil and collaborative. Motor coordination capacity reduced, but she's improving. Transferred to the Tranquil department in the care of Dr. B. 25th of October. Continues to talk about Amara and her doll, Charlotte. The disturbances of motor capacity show slight signs of improvement. Difficulty walking, not capable of riding, and the nurses report that they have to help her dress, wash, and feed herself. In the summer of 1944, Renee was transferred back into my department. Aware of little, indifferent, hardly ever spoke. One day, she said, "When I find the courage to look at myself in the mirror, I see a young face which is aged and looks at me full of fear." She is a woman now who has changed profoundly compared to the girl that I had under my care several years ago. Only the sadness of her gaze and her intelligence are unchanged. She's so young, just 23 years old, but is lacking all vitality. Perhaps her condition may improve, but probably not. Her life has been thrown away, and nobody did a thing to try to avoid this.